I believed in God right up until that night the cops beat the hell out of me for no reason at all. All they saw when they looked at me was another little ghetto rat with no power and no God.
Every night, my brother and I would talk to each other, and we always wondered, why was it that God wanted us to suffer like that?
There are no heroes in this life! And what's all this about pride? Fuck your pride! Look around you. It's shit as far as the eye can see. I hate to break it to you, but there is no fucking Robin Hood!
There's a noose that hangs at the entrance of the city. It's a message to be read by all who encounter it. For the cautious, the sane, it's a warning. For the reckless, the wild at heart, an invitation they cannot refuse. The worst of the criminal underworld gather here. They come from around the globe to butt heads and jostle for power. The edge of the world, a crucible of hypocrisy. A place where people whose souls have been destroyed in the relentless search for money and power reside. A final stop on the way to hell.
At first glance, Black Lagoon actually comes off as just a openly violent and meaningless manga that you come across, and most people tend to drop it, but everybody has like this dirty secret or pretty lie that they have. Everybody has these small things they like to do that most people don't approve of. Mine would be reading mangas that tackle a lot of issues, but in the same sense has a very open and action-packed and building of characters. As Black Lagoon would actually take this and hit the ground running, as from the very first chapter we see ragtag team of pirate mercenaries from the city known as Ranapar, Revy, Benny, and Dutch, holding Rock hostage as they were looking for a tape, as that's usually what they do because they're pirates. But after a while, Rock would ultimately end up joining the crew as his boss would end up turning on him, and at this point, Black Lagoon would officially start. Throughout the rest of the manga, we would see almost a repeating cycle over and over of violence, murder, and there is no peace treaty. Everything has to be solved with violence, to the point where you start to think, is the author doing this on purpose, or are they doing this because it's easier to do so? Honestly, it makes more sense for the author to keep doing this on purpose, as it shows the violent depictions of humans. When you strip every moral compass that we have away from us, we resort back to what we usually are: violent creatures that only act on impulses. Black Lagoon plays around with the mindset of other people. It shows how people can change in their environment. Rock went from a casual worker to being kidnapped, to joining the Lagoon crew, to slowly becoming almost a mastermind manipulator, to the point where he almost seems to be a bigger problem than the people that they deal with. It also paints an image of those that don't have affection will grab steel to replace that, or when there's no God, you use power. Power becomes your God, as nothing else truly matters. It's almost like a dark sense of nihilism in Black Lagoon. Nothing almost really matters.
It's money, of course, and guns. Fucking A. With these two things, the world's a great place.
As the only thing that really matters is almost kind of just those around you and who is gonna turn on you. It shows gangs, it shows mugging, it shows robbing, it shows beatings, killings. It shows all of this to show almost the rebellion side of how the dead truly live.
When you reach the end of the game and you factored in everything except for luck, that's when the gambling is the sweetest.
Ranapar is a fictional area, but there's a real Ranapar around you, around me. There's areas around the world that are just like Ranapar, that consists of a bunch of violent individuals that are willing to go the distance as they exchange their soul for profit. While witnessing the violence in Black Lagoon, you almost kind of want to root for the bad guys and the good guys, as you see the things that they have to go to in the distance that they go, and you almost want to cheer for them, as they came to the point where there's really nothing else but to win and get to the top. Black Lagoon was made to show a reflection of the dark side and the shadow of society. I know that's not one of the main reasons, but I know there's other things like, if you read it, it shows things like what is freedom. It's freedom living in a cozy home, sitting at home all day, and hoping that you get a nice bed, but in exchange you sleep, you work all day. Or is freedom taking a risk, risking your neck every day just to get that quick adrenaline, turn it into an adrenaline junkie? I think a perfect example of everything I'm talking about would actually relate through all the characters, but in particular would be Revy and Rock. Revy and Rock are almost like two sides of the same coin. On one side of the coin, there's Revy, someone who actually grew up in that environment, and all she knows is violence and power. There is no God where she is. As she said herself, there is no Robin Hood in the streets. It's dog eat dog, and that's all that really matters. Growing up in an environment like that, it's almost impossible for someone to come along and tell you that there is a way out, when all your life you haven't seen that. And then on the other side of the coin is Rock, someone that came from the clean life that you would hate if you came from the rough streets, as he at first couldn't handle some of the violence, as he couldn't handle people losing their lives over meaningless things. He couldn't handle people getting robbed for no reason. But slowly over time, he would ultimately adapt into something that he almost raveled in. As the more you read Black Lagoon, Rock slowly starts to turn into almost like a monster, as he goes from just a normal guy to almost the most dangerous individual in the manga without even using a weapon. His wittiness, his ruthless attitude, and his quick manipulation strategies gets him almost whatever he wants, and it becomes so much to the problem to the point that his own friends, well, his team, is even thinking of putting him down if he takes it too far. As you can see, Black Lagoon does this thing where it'll show you the violence, but then it'll show you the meaning behind all of it and let you pick and choose, do you think this is right or wrong? And most people would say it's wrong because it is wrong, but then there's some people that live that life and believe that that's the only route. It's kind of like sitting in a dark room and you're constantly looking around for the light to turn it on, but over time you can't find the light switch anymore, so you just ravel in the darkness until someone turns the light on for you.
Hey, that's the path you've chosen. Do what you gotta do so you don't become a real corpse. Bang.